When my wife first said the words, "Let's take a break," I thought I had misheard her. We were sitting at the kitchen table, our dinner untouched, and she avoided my eyes. I asked her what she meant, and she sighed as if she had rehearsed the line. "I just need space. I need to figure out who I am. Let's take a break." Her timing was strange. Our marriage hadn't been perfect lately, but it wasn't broken either, or at least I didn't think so. We had the usual arguments, the kind that most couples have. Bills, chores, how much time we spent together versus apart. But take a break? That felt like something from a movie, not real life. I stared at her, searching for honesty in her face, but she wouldn't meet my gaze. The next week was tense. She moved into the guest room, and I pretended not to notice how much time she spent glued to her phone. She smiled at messages she didn't share with me, and every time I walked into the room, she flipped the screen over. I wanted to ask, but I held back. I wanted to believe her words, that she needed space. Instead of what my gut was screaming, she had already found someone else. Then came the truth, faster than I expected. A mutual friend, who didn't know how much I was in the dark, mentioned casually that my wife's ex had been seen around town again. He had moved back recently. The moment those words hit me, everything clicked. Her sudden need for a break, the secrecy, the phone always in her hand. It all pointed in one direction. She hadn't asked for space. She had prepared a runway for her ex to land back in her life. I felt like a fool. Years of commitment, trust, sacrifices, all of it was being treated like a temporary placeholder until her old flame returned. And worse, she thought I was too blind to notice. I wanted to confront her immediately, to shout, to demand answers, but instead, I chose patience, because sometimes the best revenge is letting people dig their own graves. I started quietly gathering evidence. While she was asleep, I went through her phone. There they were. Messages to her ex, conversations dripping with nostalgia, jokes about the past, and plans to meet. He wasn't just back in town, he was back in her heart, and she was preparing to make me the outsider. For weeks, I kept silent. She grew colder, bolder, even careless. She'd leave the house dressed up, saying she needed time to think. I pretended to believe her. But behind the scenes, I contacted a lawyer. I copied every text, every photo, every breadcrumb of proof. I moved assets into accounts she couldn't touch. While she dreamed about rekindling old flames, I was setting the fire that would burn her illusions down. The breaking point came one evening when she didn't come home at all. She claimed the next day that she had stayed with a friend, but I already had the photos from a private investigator I hired. She was with her ex, wrapped in his arms, kissing like teenagers who thought the world didn't exist. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She didn't even cry. She simply said, "Maybe this break was what I needed to realize what I want." Her arrogance nearly made me laugh. She thought she held the cards, that she could leave me hanging while she tested the waters with her ex. What she didn't know was that I had already drained the pool. I handed her the envelope of divorce papers and evidence. Her face shifted from smugness to shock. She asked if we could talk, if we could work through it. I reminded her of her own words. Let's take a break. I told her the break she wanted was now permanent. In court, the truth buried her. My lawyer presented the evidence, the dates, the photos, the messages. She tried to twist the story, saying it was just emotional, but no one bought it. She lost the house, she lost financial support, and she lost the man who had been willing to give her everything. And her ex? Once the pressure of real life came knocking, he vanished again. He wasn't interested in responsibility. He only wanted the thrill of sneaking around. Months later, I heard she was living in a small apartment, struggling to pay bills, while her so-called second chance had abandoned her completely. She had traded stability, respect, and loyalty for a fantasy that dissolved the moment reality showed up. As for me, I rebuilt. Slowly, but with peace. I no longer had to question the silence at night, the glow of a phone screen, or the excuses about needing space. She thought taking a break would give her freedom. Instead, it freed me from her lies, her betrayal, and the weight of carrying a marriage she had already left in her heart. And that's the irony. She said she needed a break, but in the end, I was the one who truly broke free.